Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, I've just come back from seeing my mother and it was really nice to see her. We sat down, we went through all the old photographs of me and my father, God rest his soul, and all the family when they were younger, my uncles, my aunts, and we started going through the old photographs of me in Jamaica, getting up to no good and just enjoying life. And made me think, wow, how proud I am of being Jamaican. A lot of people might ask, well, what are you talking about? What have you got to be proud of? But you got to remember, Jamaica is the second strongest out of all the diasporan, African diasporan ethnicities. Everybody knows us, even though we count less than 6 million, period. That's including the diaspora. There aren't a lot of us, but we managed to pack quite a punch. And I do feel kind of proud about that. There are a lot of things that I dislike about us. A lot of things. I always kind of find it funny when I meet people that say, oh yeah, where are you from? And I say, I'm from Jamaica. And they say, oh yeah, I've been to Jamaica. Lovely people, so nice, so great, so pleasant. Every time I listen to people speak like that, I'm asking myself, who have you met? We're not like that. Jamaicans are the opposite of placid. The antithesis of nice. Jamaicans, we take it a step further. We aren't nice to pretty much anyone. So that's why I always laugh when I hear people speaking like that. I'm like, no, we're not. We're not like that. Jamaicans can be horrible. There is a joke going around about going into a Jamaican restaurant. If you go into a Jamaican restaurant and you say hello and the person says hello back, how are you? Here, I'll come and seat you at your table. Walk out the restaurant. The food is going to be trash because no real Jamaican is going to greet you in that way. It's a funny joke. It is a funny joke, but there is something about it which we need to look at seriously, because us Jamaicans, we just don't know how to be, nice to one another. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? There are times when we can be amiable to one another, but those times are few and far between. And I can say that because I love our people. I can say that. I could be harsh against our people. I can be. I have that privilege to talk about our people in this way, simply because I am of Jamaican heritage and I love my people dearly. Now, the other day I was scrolling through my YouTube profile and I stumbled on a community post posted by a channel that I follow that is ran by a young guy, a teenager from the UK by the name of CHAM. And this guy said something. He had a statement that he put out about Gambian people. He is a young person of Gambian descent, still a teenager, but he had some really scathing words to say about his own people. I'm going to read this verbatim so there isn't any confusion. Dear Gambian people, damn near all of you are a bunch of narcissistic, toxic, selfish, controlling, possessive psychopaths with your toxic, disgusting mindset. It would be ideal for people like you to never reproduce, especially when you cannot afford children. But we all know you'll do it anyway, because, once again, damn near all of you are a bunch of narcissistic, toxic, selfish, disgusting, controlling, possessive psychopaths. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that, but I'm gonna read on actually, because there were a lot of people that made comments about this, and he did reply. He replies to all of his comments. So Laura Jones wrote a comment saying, wow, that's a really great insight. And he replies, it's true. I'm not biased. They're narcissistic. Screw them. Okay. And then he replies again to another comment. Yep, I'm not afraid to call out the people I descend from. They deserve it. I'm always unbiased. It gets worse, guys. It gets really, really much worse. So he goes on to say, I get your point. I want to clarify that I mentioned Gambians to not reproduce because they're evil, disgusting people. I'd say, if you can't afford yourself, don't have children if you can't even afford them. Madam, Gambians are narcissists. They have children to use them as their own personal slaves. Wow. He really, really goes to town on them. After I read all that, I thought to myself, I'm going to have to speak to MC CHAM. So I sent him an email, and I haven't asked him yet, actually, if I'm able to read out everything here. But he is unbiased and he's pretty open. So I'm going to make the assumption that he's going to be okay with me reading out some of his emails. Because actually what he puts in his emails is just a more detailed view of his views on Gambians and on Gambian society in general. I don't even know what I'm going to make this video about, because at the end of the day, I'm not even sure. I cannot turn around to him and say that he's wrong. I'm not Gambian, right? I don't know Gambians that well enough, or have lived with Gambians, or have been infused in their culture. And I haven't even lived in the Gambia before, so how can I say this? I cannot say this. But, you know, it's one thing hearing this type of thing from, you know, Art Cathy. We remember Art Cathy because Art Cathy wasn't Gambian, but to hear it from another Gambian, it really does hit home hard. In today's video, we're going to delve a little deeper into how MC CHAM thinks, why he thinks this way. We're going to go through some of the emails that we sort of exchanged with one another. We're going to ask ourselves, is he right, you know, to a certain degree? Is there a large population of Gambians who think and act this way? So we're going to get into it. First, I'm going to ask you, like always, to please like, subscribe, share, click the bell notification, and please consider supporting the channel on our Patreon, link in the description. I'd also like to invite you to come and follow my new family flocking channel, I. We have a video coming out every week, and we talk in general about the nuances of being a mixed race couple and bringing up mixed race children in Europe. For now. The link is in the description. Follow the link. So before I get into this, I think it's important that we give ourselves a bit of background knowledge on who MC CHAM is. So MC CHAM, I don't know his personal name. I know he comes from Gambian heritage. He speaks with a British accent. I'm not sure whether he was born in the Gambia and came over to the UK, but he has been in the UK for a significant amount of time. I actually made a video about him because he gave me his views on black people, right? I listen to his lives sometimes, and he gives some really, you know, it's some really deep insight into how people should see and view race. So he thinks that people that are my complexion and his complexion, dark-skinned black people, that we are superior to everybody else. He believes this solely, deep down in his heart, that people of mixed heritage should have their own classification, that they shouldn't be classed as being black, that they should be classed as being of mixed heritage. And to a certain degree, there is obviously some logic to that, is there not? So that's the kind of guy who he is. He loves black people, and I mean black people. So he loves his, you know, pure unadulterated version of the black race, those people who are of dark skin kin. Okay, so he's not anti-African at all. He loves African people, and this is the part which really confuses me, because he loves African people. He doesn't want his people to be diluted in any way, shape or form. And thus he doesn't view people of other kin as being, to classify those people as black people. So this guy is really, he's intense, man. He's intense. So that is who MC CHAM is. Okay, so before you start thinking, oh, he hates himself, he hates black people. No, he doesn't. He loves loves black people more than the average black person. So we're going to go and delve a little deeper into his views. Why does he think this way about his own people, Gambian people? So I sent him an email, and I'm going to read this verbatim. I just read your community post about Gambians. Can you please clarify why you would say these things about Gambians specifically? And I'm going to read the email that he sent back. Hey amigo, I definitely remember you. I didn't know you changed your name. I said what I said about Gambians because it's true. They are indeed narcissistic. Any narcissistic, toxic thing they do, their excuse always starts with, in our culture, blah, blah, blah. Basically, their culture is toxic. A lot of them, especially the women, have children just to use them as personal slaves. They only care about themselves and not the children. The children are just disposables to them. They have an entitled, narcissistic mindset and think their children owe them, even though they are the ones who chose to have the children and those children never asked to be born. Gambians are also major hypocrites. If they're lying about you or something and you call them out for it, they will try to gaslight you for being disrespectful. It's pathetic. They are psychopaths. So guys, that is super deep. You know, I don't have any answers for MC CHAM. I did ask him whether it was something personal, whether he had any personal experience of this, and he hasn't answered me in an email, but I wouldn't be able to read out that email if it was something personal. So either way, it would be interesting to hear, you know, whether his experiences, whether he had problems with his own parents perhaps, or whether he had seen his friends go through these things. He said the majority of Gambians are like this, so I'm not even sure whether it is something personal. It sounds like it's something that he sees or has seen all the time, being a person of Gambian heritage, having Gambian family, Gambian friends. You know, I think it is something that he views as, like me, in the same way I look at Jamaicans. It's very annoying and totally unnecessary for us to be this way. However, we are this way. Things need to change. Okay, it's not about, oh yeah, okay then, oh let's go to a Jamaican restaurant. Oh, they're going to be nasty. Oh, they're not going to say hello. Oh, they're not pleasant. They're not amiable. They're not nice. You know, you don't get a nice feeling when you go to a place like that, and you know, you ask for some service and the person doesn't even really want to come over to you. You know, they're asking themselves, what are you doing there? You know, it can look to a person like me as if we are psychopaths, that we are crazy somehow because we open up a restaurant, and that is I'm using restaurants as a for instance, but it can be anything. And when it comes to Jamaicans, we tend to act this way, and I cannot understand why. And I think MC CHAM is actually going through a similar thing. He believes that it's totally unnecessary and it needs to stop. There's no logical reason for us to treat each other this way. So I can, to a certain degree, totally understand why he's saying this. I really wanted to ask any of my Gambian subscribers or any of my Gambian viewers, guys, tell me, is he right? Is MC CHAM right? Are the vast majority of Gambian people narcissistic? Are they focused on themselves? Do they care more about themselves than they do their own children? Have you experienced this? Do you think he's totally right? Do you think he's wrong? Guys, I would love to hear your opinion on this. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. It'd be really good to hear about that. I've made a number of different videos about Gambians and I haven't had anything negative to say about them. I've been to the Gambia myself and I've seen some crazy things there. I'll be honest with you. I remember walking to Banjul. I was walking to Banjul from Zeni, Gambia. Yeah, longest walk. And we was walking down the road. We walked into Banjul. The first thing we saw when we walked into Banjul was a woman with a baby and she runs up to this puddle with this baby and starts washing the baby in a puddle. And I mean a dirty, muddy puddle. Why? At first, I felt sorry for her, and then I thought, no, that's too much. It was too dramatic. She was doing that in order to look for money. I'm going to give you another experience, another Gambian experience that I had. I went to a football match. It was the African Cup of Nations qualifier, Liberia versus Gambia. Didn't know the place. I didn't know anything about the Gambia at the time. It was my first time there. And so I asked one of the people that was working, one of the managers that was working at the Senegambia Hotel. Okay. I asked one of them, hey, would you mind coming with us, chaperoning us, just so we can, have somebody there that'll take care of us. And he was like, yeah, no problem. So we took us. We had to pay for everything. That's okay. I don't mind paying for his ticket. I don't mind paying for his taxi. I don't mind paying for everything. Okay. And he came with us and we had a really good time. And during the match, he was like, hey, would you like to have dinner with my wife and my children and everything? And I was like, yeah, no, that would be nice. That would be really nice. So my partner then, we wanted to change our minds. We didn't really want to go, right? Because we didn't know this guy that well to go. And so I approached him. I said, do you know what? We're going to need to cancel the dinner tonight. And his eyes started bulging. He was like, what? My wife has been working all day preparing the food for you. You have to come. You have to come. I said, okay, it's not a problem. We'll come. Right? Mind you, my then partner was pregnant with our daughter. Okay? So she was pregnant at the time. So we had to be careful with what she was eating. We go to this guy's house. He lives in a village just outside in the suburbs somewhere. There was no light. There was no light in his house. There was no light in the entire village. And we sat down to eat and he served food with his hands. I know that's normal, but it wasn't right and I could eat it, but for my partner who was pregnant, it wasn't good for her to eat that food like that, to have it served that way. It wasn't hygienic, and she could have easily have gotten ill from that anyway. So anyway, my wife eats the food and she gets ill. It was bound to happen. She gets ill. So that's one thing. But I'm going to tell you the craziest part about this story. So anyway, he starts going into this spiel about, oh yeah, I've got to work because I need to pay for the kids because all the kids are sick. And he's turned around to his kid and knocked his kid, and his kids started coughing on command. It was, oh my goodness, I could not believe he just did that. His kids started coughing on command. Yeah, I'm ill. So we ended up giving him money, and we realized that we hadn't been scammed, but it was all a ploy to get money from us. I just felt so sad that we have people living in a situation like that in the Gambia. But this is a manager at one of the biggest hotels there in the Gambia, right? The Senegambia Hotel. If you know the Gambia, you know the Senegambia Hotel. It's not a grand hotel, but it's one of the major tourist hotels there in the Gambia. So this guy should be earning a reasonable amount. I just found it so super weird that this guy would bring me in to do this, really, when I saw him every single day. He was always wearing a suit and a shirt and everything else. Civilized clothing. That type of thing doesn't happen everywhere. I'm being honest with you here. What happened there doesn't happen everywhere. I just find it so demeaning, pathetic in a way. I don't quite know what else to say, guys. I'm going to invite MC CHAM on for an interview because I really want him to elaborate a little more, because I think to say that the majority of Gambians are this way when you don't know the majority of Gambians, I think it's a pretty tough thing to say. But I think it's coming from a place of logic. I think he's not just saying it for views or anything else like that, because he hasn't made a video about this. He's saying these types of things because he truly believes it, because it is likely he has experienced that. Perhaps not so in his own personal life, but he sees it. Okay? And I'd really like to hear, if you've been to the Gambia, I'd like to hear your experiences, and I'd also like to hear whether you agree with MC CHAM. Let me know in the comment section below. So guys, that's all I've got time for today. Nothing but gloom and doom today. I'm sorry guys. My own personal opinion, I have made many videos about Gambians and seldom do I have anything negative to say about them. But we all are our own people, and our experiences from our own cultures says a lot about the truth when it comes to our cultures, you know, especially when it comes from a place of love. Okay, Candice Owens hates African Americans. It is not coming from a place of love. The things that she is saying is not coming from a place of love. She hates African Americans and she hates herself. Okay, this MC CHAM is different. He loves Gambians. He loves black people. He loves Africa. Which is the reason why I'm making this video. It's important that we are open. It's important that we are able to talk about the bad sides of our culture so we can tackle those problems. If we are unable to communicate this, then these problems will continue to manifest themselves within our culture. Until the next time, please think twice. Tarara.